Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Shannon Reedy. Shannon is the Chief Revenue Officer at TeraKeet, the Fortune 500's preferred owner asset optimization partner for strengthening brand and consumer connections online. With a demonstrated history of leadership, data analysis, and results-driven business development, Shannon has helped TeraKeet as well as its global customers achieve breakthrough performances. As CRO, Shannon guides TeraKeet's company's growth and revenue-generating processes, including sales, marketing, and client success strategies, which have collectively driven 66% more revenue under her leadership. Welcome to the show, Shannon. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me, Jennifer.
Great. Let's get started. So, Shannon, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
I would love to. So to start, I work for TeraKeet. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer. At TeraKeet, we are a connections company. So we help brands connect with their consumers. And we really use search insights to inform how to best connect with their consumers. And I met TeraKeet about 14 years ago. I was a senior at Syracuse University and attending, like most seniors do, the job fairs. I met TeraKeet as a small startup company in Syracuse, which is also my hometown. And, back in 2009, when you found an interesting opportunity and of course, a job after college, you really jumped for it. So I started at TeraKeet the Monday after graduation. And at the time, it was about 8 to 10 people. It was a very small company. And I just recognized this, kind of grit and pride and really being up to kind of something special in a small city and really not a tech hub, if you know anything about Syracuse. But it was a fantastic team and it was a really exciting opportunity. And over the years, we grew pretty quickly. I believe in about 2 to 3 years, we grew up to almost 50 to 75 people. And as the company continued to expand, the kind of demand for some of those leaders within the company grew as well. And I was asked to take on our web analytics team and really represent our work and our value to our customers. And it was a bit scary because as a communications major in college, I took one stats class. So I was kind of in unfamiliar territory, but I certainly leaned in. I taught myself web analytics and I taught myself a lot of, kind of the best practices to really present value to customers and to really get into the details of return on investment and really the entirety of the value proposition. And, within 2 to 3 years, we grew to over 100 people. Our portfolio expanded quite a bit. Myself is really the sole person on our web analytics team. I was a bit of a one-man show or a one-woman show, if you will. Wanted to kind of go back to my roots in communication, and I was able to start our account management and client engagement team. And that was back in about, I believe, 2014. So starting our account management team really allowed me to get closer to our customers and really allowed me to work with some of the world's leading brands. And again, really understanding how to best connect them with their audiences through how they appear and their footprint online and within the search landscape. So really, since 2014, it's almost been, 10 years, I would say, working very closely with customers, growing our team internally and really focusing our organization to be client-centric. It's been exciting. It's been extremely challenging. We are up to right around 400 employees today.
Wow.
And I've been in the Chief Revenue Officer role for almost 2 years. So I currently oversee our sales team, our marketing team, and our client success team.
That's amazing. I love your growth and I love the work that you've done to kind of just lean in and learn everything that you need to do. And in tech, many of us have to do that because things change so fast. Even if you know something, next week it's going to change. So you need to always be in that learning mindset. So good for you. That's great. I'm so excited that now 13 years later, you're still there and in a C-level position.
Yes, thank you.
That's great. Yeah, great job. So as you know, women are leaving the workforce in droves right now. Why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, and I may be rare in my case because I've worked for, the same organization
Mm-hmm.
for many years. And from my perspective, I've certainly seen women leave the workforce and, certainly in cases around, starting a family and companies not being able to accommodate
Mm-hmm.
the really required balance of having a family and having, those really requirements and duties, if you will, at
Right.
home with the pressures and the duties and the obligations and responsibilities of their company. And from my perspective, I've been incredibly fortunate to work with an organization that has really met women where they're at in terms of how can we create a flexible work environment to allow our female employees, no matter where they are in the organization, if they're, in the executive office or they're in an entry level position, to drop their kids off at school in the morning or to pick them up from daycare at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day. And to be completely honest, I've hired so many women just in my tenure and really seeing the ability for women to thrive and to grow their careers, all the while balancing. And it's so much easier said than done, but all the while balancing just the realities, right, of carrying kind of both responsibilities, whether it be your home life, your personal life, or your career. And it's been really incredible to see just what that flexibility can afford women specifically. And I've seen, some of the hardest women that I know I work so close to at TeraKeet. And I really think that, women leaving the workforce in droves really has a lot to do with that lack of flexibility. I would also say that I see that changing more broadly as I have seen kind of companies waking up to this reality and understanding that the contributions, the perspective, the differentiation in thought, and just what women bring to the table is so needed and required. And I do see that flexibility increasing in companies outside of TeraKeet.
I love that TeraKeet is doing all of that to give women that opportunity to be flexible because we find that, women's voice is still very, very important in the workplace because we have kind of a diverse perspective, a different way of thinking, more collaborative, more empathetic. And so we really need to have that voice within corporate America. And so happy to see that things are changing and people are realizing that their voice is just as important, but they need some flexibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for all that you're doing to make that happen because those are, great, great strides that you and your company have made to provide that flexibility for women. It means a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I know you talked about some ways for tech companies to be more inclusive. Are there any other thoughts on other ways that tech companies can do the more inclusive route rather than how they are today?
Yes, what I see is just the sheer awareness of it is incredibly powerful within organizations to understand what your organization looks like, feels like, who's in, the C-suite, who's in leadership roles, how can we encourage the diversity of people that hold those positions, and also the diversity of thought in those conversations that are being had. I think it's really powerful. So just doing the work and being aware of what the landscape looks like within your company is so incredibly important. I think the benefits and the flexibility that you offer is, of course, paramount, and also the learning opportunities. There's incredible opportunities, whether it's conferences, speaking engagements, employee resource groups, have things like Mamas at TeraKeet, which is a resource group for the mothers that work at our organization. And there's incredible opportunities like conferences and trainings and ways in which women and employees in general can really stretch themselves and challenge themselves, and also allow them to kind of step out of their day-to-day. So I think that's incredibly important for any organization to engage in, but it really starts with the awareness of who the organization is today, the makeup of the people of that organization, and who they want to become, where they want to go, to start to map what are really the required moves to be made to create a much more inclusive environment, and one that really empowers women to thrive and to be challenged and really advance their careers.
Yeah, I love that. I love that your company actually gives women a voice, so you have specific groups for mothers, and then you provide, speaking engagements and conferences and other things to help them grow in their careers as well, which is really, really great. I love all the things that you guys are doing, and I truly, truly, as a woman, appreciate what you're doing, because we need more of this.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and you guys are really great about that. So in this male-dominated tech industry, you've come a long way. Have you felt that pressure anywhere along the way, and how have you kind of advanced your career?
Yeah, it's a great question. I grew up honestly at this organization. I started at the company. We have two founders, both male, and I've been incredibly lucky to feel supported by both of them and by my male coworkers. I do think there's, I think back to when they both approached me to create our web analytics team, and just the amount of imposter syndrome that that I really meant. And I'm thinking all the way back to just my grades in math class way back when, and understanding that I have come a long way since then. And if my colleagues and my mentors believe in me, I should go for it. And really just being, I guess, game to be a yes in those opportunities. And starting that web analytics team was certainly scary, but man, did I grow. I grew like crazy, and challenging myself and teaching myself. And I think that really gave me the confidence, the courage, and really understanding the grit that it would take, gender aside, just to be successful in your career. So it probably indirectly answers your question. I'm lucky to have felt very supportive and encouraged by my mentors, my boss, our president of the company today. But it is those moments that you think back to where you're like, are they crazy? They want me to do this. Can I do this? And those moments where you should just run fast and go for it, because it's going to stretch you, and it's going to be incredibly informative and just showing you your potential. So, it's those moments that then gave me the power to say, okay, here's what I'm good at, here's what I want to do more of, and really catapulted me into creating that client success account management team at TeraKeet, because I had that kind of wind in my sails, if you will, from just the learning experience of stumbling a little bit and figuring it out as I went along.
Yeah, what I hear is that what you've done to overcome any of the challenges that you've had is the confidence. You really believed in yourself. You told yourself you can do it, and then you figured out how to do it. And that, I think, is one of the areas that are definitely lacking in women. We second guess ourselves all the time. We're always saying, am I good enough? And instead of that, we need to build that confidence muscle and really push forward, because I think that's going to get us to those levels that we want to be at.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's, I hate the phrase fake it till you make it.
But you have to sometimes.
You have to, and it's more, imperfection is the expectation. It's never be perfect.
Right.
And you will continuously be a work in progress. And I think that's, I learned that. I had front row seats to, to that show at TeraKeet, just in the fact that we were growing so fast and we continue to grow very quickly. And it is this, constant cycle of calibration and learning and understanding that, everything that you've been through is context and feedback to better inform where you're going. And, confidence certainly doesn't, come easy to anyone.
Right.
But it is all of that experience and feedback that does really give you that extra push to kind of try the next new thing or to jump into the next challenge that's presented to you.
Yeah, one of the things I learned is to build your confidence, it has to be, the knowledge has to be yours, right? And if you build that knowledge, that confidence will come. One time I had some marketing person actually create a presentation for me. And I gave her all of the context around it because I was so busy. And it was not my best presentation. And I realized next time I've got to make it my own. I've got to do it so that when I'm speaking, it's me talking, not somebody else's voice, So I think it's very important to build our own confidence muscle.
Yes, it's so true. And, all you can do is be yourself. And it sounds simple. We've all heard it a million times, but the more you try to become or be someone else, whether it's the way you're presenting, the way you're leading, the decisions that you're making, that people can see that, they can feel it so quickly. So
yes,
this idea of courage and really authenticity in realizing that you're in your role for a reason, no one else can do what you do, and you have the opportunity in that role and truly the obligation to hone those strengths, but also understand where the blind spots are or where the weaknesses, if you will, may be. And I've really, learned that probably more so through the past, I would say, 5 to 7 years, in terms of the pressure of growth that TeraKeet has really required me to hone in on I'm strongest and recruit and build the team around me for where, my blind spots are, or really where the needs of the organization are that I can't meet. So I love that part of my role in terms of course, coaching and developing talent, but also recruiting and really building that team of talent that can really feed into that confidence of the organization in the broader sense, but also really complete what we bring right to our customers.
Yeah, no, so true. So Shannon, who inspires you and why?
Oh, so many people. And I'm thinking about, we have a wonderful mentorship program that has been, I should know how many years it's been active, but several years. And really what the premise of this mentorship program is connecting individuals at the organization that would not typically cross paths. So my mentorship is an SEO analyst at our organization. And I've learned so much from her in terms of resiliency, bravery. And I'm always, kind of attracted to character traits, right? And individuals that you surround yourself with and people you seek out. And really kind of going after those individuals that show that grit, that resilience, that idea of kind of being a yes and jumping in, and bravery, as if to kind of feed, right, and fill my cup, if you will. So many people inspire me, the individuals that I work closest with at TeraKeet, my family, of course, and my kids. I mean, talk about confidence and bravery. They
right.
it in spades. So just, of course, encouraging them and continuing to encourage them. But yeah, I am so fortunate to work with really incredible people and talent.
That's great. Now, tell me a little bit about how the match is made at the mentorship program. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a bit of an art and science.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is it's very intentional. We have questionnaires that applicants to the program fill out, and the questions really identify what, as a mentor, you're looking to get out of the program. Are you looking to make connections? Are you looking to learn about kind of new areas of the organization that you're less familiar with? As a mentee, you're filling out this kind of application and questionnaire with what you're looking to get out of the program as well. So
Mm-hmm.
the confidence, is it public speaking skills? Is it honing your craft?
Mm.
There's I think upwards of 10 to 15 different kind of attributes and goals that we, prompt our applicants with. And from that data, our amazing team that leads the mentorship program does the matchmaking from there.
Mm.
And,
So it's manually done, not
it
through a
is.
system. Yeah, that's great. That's
Much
great.
curated. And the mentorship program grows each year we have it. And in this very remote world, and TeraKeet was never a remote company until COVID hit, the connectivity of the organization has never been more important.
Yeah.
And strategies like the mentorship program has just done a beautiful job in making those connections and really making connections between unassuming individuals within the organization, people that, like I said, would have never crossed paths before. So it's been very powerful in that sense.
Yeah, and I love being a mentor teaches you so much. People think it's only the mentee that gets the benefit, and it's not. The mentor, I mentor a couple women that are growing within their career and moving up the ladder, and I get so much. I learn so much from them. They learn a lot from me, and it's such a great relationship, because we are focused on what we're looking to get out of the relationship, and providing those key points to them, both sides. So I think being a mentor is also just as important as finding the right mentor and being a mentee.
It's so true. And just in my work with my mentee, no matter what role you have, where you sit in the organization, where you come from, the questions and the vulnerabilities and the challenges are so consistent. So
Mm-hmm.
it's engaging in those conversations that you learn so much about, of course, the individual, and you learn so much about yourself as well. So I am so grateful for this program.
That's great. Now, Shannon, what has been your biggest challenge and how have you overcome it? Can you think back to any one challenge? I know learning a whole new web analytics should have been a big challenge in itself. I don't know if that's the one, or is there something else that comes to mind that says, wow, now I think back, that was really tough, but I overcame it and this is how I did it.
Yeah, there are peaks and valleys
Mm-hmm.
in any organization and of course for any individual just in life in general. And I can think of the peaks and valleys and the challenges at TeraKeet in terms of the organization itself, the reality that very early on TeraKeet really got its name within the search engine optimization space. And if you know anything about SEO and about Google, it's that it changes often. So it does require you to be on the cutting edge of what you're bringing to market, how you're servicing customers, how you're driving impact, and really making good promise on the connections that you're making for your customers. So I can think of many of the challenges from a product standpoint, from a how do we best serve our customers? How do we kind of bob and weave through all of these changes of the algorithm and always do what is right for the end consumer?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the analytics, feet first was certainly a challenge. And of course, not to be a bit cliche, but COVID was a big challenge. I think we learned a lot about ourselves in taking a 200-person company, mostly located in Syracuse, New York, coming into the office
Mm-hmm.
day to a completely remote company. And I think for as horrific as that time was for many people personally, TeraKeet learned about just our ability to expand and to become a national brand, and to really see what we were capable of in terms of really getting on the national and global stage, if you will, in terms of recruiting talent and scaling our team, and really getting in front of top tier brands. So those kind of moments, I think when you're in them, you never think you're going to get out of them. And then you realize that all things move forward, and this too shall pass. You learn so much in those challenges. And personally, life is unfair, and everyone has been met with challenges and traumas and hardships, and just this constant desire to want to balance everything and keep going. And it's not without a incredibly supportive organization and company, and then obviously an incredibly supportive just personal family or group, that you can really get through those hard times.
Yeah. And challenges are there to help us grow. And they really teach us every day. Like you said, COVID was a challenge. I learned to have so much more empathy for my staff, and just working in an environment that's not conducive to working from home, where they were not used to it. Some were sitting at the kitchen table, some were, we were all coming into the office like you were. And so it is a big challenge, and having the tools in your tool belt to really deal with those challenges are so critical. You cannot just throw your arms up and say, oh my God, I'm done. It doesn't work that way. So,
I think we learned too that the pursuit for a work-life balance is just not realistic. And it's not, to have a work-life balance, of course, is wonderful when you're in, a marketing technology company, professional services company. You're here for the clients. But certainly during COVID, this work-life balance, you got to see the life in the people that you were working closely with, and it certainly level set, the stage. I so vividly remember joining Zoom calls with CEOs of very large organizations, and seeing their kids running through the background, or they're jumping up on their laps, and just the ability to find just that we are all human and we are all going through this together. To your point, it was an incredible amount of just empathy that was required to navigate those days, and just the degree of respect and understanding that I believe we all kind of inherently have for one another at our organization, having gone through that together. You talk about the most challenging times, like you remember who you were with through those challenging times, just the strength and bond that it creates. So those moments are so vivid, and again, we certainly didn't think we were going to escape, and here we are with a high degree of learning.
So this is a selfish question next, and that is more about, what is your most favorite place that you've traveled to, and why? Because I love to travel, and I build my list from everybody else's travels. That's why I say it's selfish. But so what is your most favorite place that you've traveled to, and why?
Oh, I love to travel. My husband always jokes, we'll be on a vacation, it'll be the last day of the vacation, and I'll already be back on Airbnb trying to find the
next one. That's great. I love it.
I would say my favorite place I've traveled to was probably where my husband and I went on our honeymoon, which was to Thailand, for 2 weeks, and we traveled through 3 different cities in Thailand. I have traveled to Europe and, across the US, and I have never felt so far from home. I mean, we are literally on the other side of the world, and the culture was beautiful, and just overwhelming in terms of just how much history and beauty is just over there with, everything that Bangkok had to offer. And we went north to Chiang Mai and got to see the elephants, and we stayed in a really fun kind of university village, and then traveling down to the islands in south of Thailand. The people are wonderful. The food is absolutely incredible. So if you have not been, you should.
I have not, so I added it to my list. Definitely. It sounds amazing. And, memories are so important. And so every time you go on a great trip, you create memories that you will have forever. And I think that's so important, the experience.
Yes, it really is. And I have to do a better job of printing out pictures and and creating those memories, I have to say.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, Shannon, this was such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. I just loved chatting with you. I love what you've done with your career. You keep escalating, you keep learning, you keep growing, and I love that. Can you share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me
Sure.
on. It was a wonderful conversation. Probably the easiest way is through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And please reach out. And I was listening to a previous episode. A woman had said, reach out to me, but don't sell me anything.
Yeah.
Reach out and connect. I would love to hear from you. I would love to chat. So yeah, LinkedIn would probably be the best way.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Shannon. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you. And hopefully in the future we can chat again.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end-user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.